everyone, and welcome back to another Getting Stuff Painted, my bi-weekly give or take as my dog sneezes update on the various miniatures we've been painting for the games we cover here on the channel. And for a change, we have a bunch of Star Wars Legion, been focusing on that a little bit. Then a big chunk of kind of Batman mixed with general DC universe miniature game. And then a little bit of Resident Evil 3, the board game, on the end there, as I'm starting to work my way through the models required for the expansion if we end up doing that. In fact, I have the pile here. I wasn't planning on showing this, but I have the unpainted pile here. If I can just move it into... These are all the the bare minimum that need to be painted before the expansion missions are playable, counting the ones that I've painted here as well. So there's a little bit of a to-do list there as a spoiler for things that will be coming next time, maybe. But as always, let's start from the left and go to the right. So the first mini up this time from Star Wars Legion is, her name is Sabine Wren, I think. I'm not entirely sure who she is. I posted a picture of this painted on Twitter and was told she's from the various Jon Favreau Star Wars cartoons. I don't know which one specifically. You can model her with dual pistols or using the Darksaber. And the Darksaber I am familiar with because it's in The Mandalorian. But her as a character, couldn't tell you. But her armour was certainly a challenge. In fact, I didn't actually use contrast paint for her. I used Gene Stealer Hide, I think it's called, just a regular Citadel paint. I used a little bit of contrast for the jeans, or her trousers, that snakebite leather. But yeah, this is the first model in a while where I haven't used contrast, because the Shyless Purple just was absolutely not the right shade, neither was the pink contrast. So I just was forced / it seemed like the best idea to not use contrast. I did use Black Templar for all the black parts though, and then Aggressor shade over the top. Quite happy with how it turned out, actually. I had no idea what colour her backpack was supposed to be, so I just did it in Beskar Silver. But either way, from the front, I think it looks not too shabby. So also, this represents the rest of the Stormtroopers from the Star Wars Legion starter set. There's no more unless you count the ones that are riding the speeder bikes, but they're speeder bikes, not basic Stormtrooper troops. So we have the other heavy weapon option that came in the box, because the DLTs have already been painted a few weeks back, and by weeks I might mean months. But you come with 2 rocket launcher ones, and then just 4 other standard troopers. The rocket launchers are not sculpted well. It's bent plastic. It looks like it's a bendy rocket launcher if you do that. They're both like that. Well, that one not so much, because it looks like it's kind of turning that way. But yeah, a little disappointing. I also have never seen anyone use these, so I'm guessing it's not a good option worth the cost. But all these Stormtroopers painted in the exact same way, so I don't need to cover that again really. I'm just happy to have got them done now, besides the speeder bikes. These guys though, these 2 in particular, are a terrible, terrible pose. It looks like they're about to break out into a dance routine, or they're just strutting forward through mud or something. I know they didn't want to do generic everyone standing still, but is that really the best you could do? He's just it's like he's tripping. So I found these very silly, but I get that they had to have a different pose for every single Stormtrooper. Here we go, I'll show you close up how silly it looks. Doesn't it look like he's strutting, like there's a dance number going on, like those Stormtroopers that have to dance at that Disney attraction with Chewbacca and Darth Vader, which definitely is in keeping with the Star Wars license. These are more generic. They're just standing there pointing their blasters, they're about to shoot. I prefer this to the strut walk. And again, if you are curious how I painted these, go back to the first video where I covered painting Stormtroopers. These are painted in the exact same way. It's basically Apothecary White, Grey Seer, and a dry brushing of Grey Seer on top. And some Nuln Oil. But yeah, done and done. The speeders have an appalling looking assembly instruction, so that's why I've not tackled those yet. But technically there's still 2 Imperial units left from that starter set. So next we're on to the stuff from the Batman miniature game / DC universe. I say DC because I think most of the stuff I've been painting, which is from 2 years ago, I've had these models sitting. They're mostly going to be usable in the DC universe miniature game, just purely because 3rd edition of Batman doesn't have speedster rules or magic rules, and I've been mostly getting stuff done that are magic users, specifically from Justice League Dark, and a little bit on the side as well. But the miscellaneous stuff first. We have Mr. Lex Luthor, who is from the Legion of Doom DC box, but he comes with Batman stats. Black Templar for his suit, Blood Angels Red for his tie, Gilman Flesh for his skin, Skeletal Horde, I think, for his tan jacket, Aggressor shade over the top, Warp Lightning, and also Nurgling Green for the Kryptonite he's holding, and the Nurgling Green was used to create that attempt at a glow effect there on him, which turned out okay, I think. Maybe a little bit too heavy-handed on his forehead, although he does have a very shiny forehead, so yeah, maybe it worked. Then we have Modern Age Catwoman in her long Halloween-esque outfit. This was just pure contrast paint. The model is very, well, this is the old resin, so it's very brittle, so it was very scary actually putting this together. Black Templar, Stylish Purple, Gilman Flesh, and a wash over the top. Super simple. She's got okay stats. I think the newest Catwoman is actually just this, but better. Especially if you take into account the cat markers that I've shown off in one of these videos previously. That whole mechanic, I feel like, just works better. But it's another option. I think she's a bit cheaper, this one as well. So on to the Justice League Dark miniature, starting with Jason Blood and his better half, different half. He's just a guy who knows a lot of magic, and he's reading a big demonic book that is not in focus. Skeletal Horde for his jacket as well. Basilicanum Grey for his jeans. Black Templar for his shirt. And I think that was a little bit of Blood Angels Red for his book as well. Very unassuming, but of course if he says a certain rhyme, he turns into... Oh, you know what? I just realised I skipped 2 miniatures. That's what I get. I got distracted by a truck went past, so I did a cut. I totally forgot these two. You know, we'll go back to them in a second. Etregon, his other form, if he says the certain rhyme, he becomes the demon Etregon. Who again is mostly just going to be DC because there's no magic rules. That is not in focus. Come on now. This is another miniature where I had to not use contrast paint for his skin tone because no contrast paint I have matches that look. I resorted to using, I think it's called like Sunburst something or other Citadel paint with a little bit of non-oil over the top to add detail to his muscle lines. Blood Angels Red for his actual like leotard, and Talisar Blue for his cape. The fire, gone over how I do fire many times before. It's a mixture of Yandin Yellow, Blood Angels Red, and Griffhound Orange, and then a little bit of yellow just on the cape to make it look like it's... Honestly, it's a fire hazard. He's about to set off his own cape. Maybe it's inflammable. Wait, flammable means inflammable. Etregon is playing with fire, literally. So the two I skipped past by accident. Deadman, who is a spooky ghost who can possess people. That's why I did his base so weird with the Tesseract glow. He was super simple, just grey seer for his skin tone with the blue wash that Citadel does, Drake Blood, something like that. I can never remember what it's called. But the blue wash they do just over the grey seer to create his like zombie-esque skin tone. Blood Angels Red with a wash over the top for his suit, and then they use grey seer to pick out the D for Deadman on him. It's like Daredevil's ghost. He loses a D when he dies. So yeah, again, not really usable in Batman, but in the DC Universe miniature game, he seems very, very powerful. So this is Black Orchid, I think her name is, or Dark Orchid, I never remember. Another model where I started trying to use contrast, and I was like, this does not look accurate enough. Also, not in focus. So I used a mixture of, it's called like Rider Red Citadel paint, Orc Rider Red, it might be that, with some Genestealer hide, some Shila's purple contrast on the base, and another contrast paint. I think that was Flesh Tear Red for the dots on her cape. Not super happy, like I wasn't super happy with how it was turning out with contrast, so I just started experimenting with like doing a little bit of highlighting on her weird flowy cape, doing the marks because she's kind of got like a butterfly thing going on. It turned out okay. I'm not going to say good at all, especially because I think I missed a bit right there. But it looks okay. Oh, and I'll settle for that, honestly, because this was a very flimsy... I have memories of trying to put this together and getting it to like line up at the attach points on her hands, and it just... she was not having it. Is that a white mark I missed? It totally is a white mark I missed. I'm going to have to fix that after this now. So then we have Damien Dark, and then a little bit of Court of Owls. In the Court of Owls, you will see these new minis in the next battle report. Damien Dark as he appeared in the Arrow TV series. Not much to say about him. It's Shila's purple Genestealer hide for his glowy magic bits on his base as well. Black Templar for his suit. Tried to pick out his piercing blue eyes because the actor who played him has very piercing blue eyes. Blonde hair and basilicanum grey for the base as well. Hopefully the 3rd edition of Batman will get Magic Rose at some point. So then we have the grandfather, father, and I've done that in the wrong order. Grandfather, father, and son of the O'Malley clan, which are Court of Owl Talons. You tell them apart by the number of chevrons on their chest, but I'll just show them off and talk about the colours I use for all of them. Snakebite leather, Nazdrag yellow for the chevrons. This is grandfather because he's got 1 chevron on his chest. And Wildwood for the darker browns as well, with wash over the top. I believe this is the father with 2 chevrons. Yes. Now at some point, the son that we'll look at in a second once this gets into focus, he is supposed to be holding a knife, and this is the old resin, and at some point it just snapped off, and I don't know when. It was there when I finished painting it. It was there when I put it on this table, but as I was prepping to record this, I was like, hang on a second. He's not holding anything in his hand anymore. I have no idea when it broke off. I don't think, I'm very sure it was here when I put him on the table. But yeah, he's got the 3 chevrons, he's the youngest. That hand did have a knife in it, but this is the old brittle resin and it just snapped off, sadly. Oh yeah, and I use a little bit of blood for the blood god to put, blood on them because they're murdery assassins. I don't like how these weapons look from the side. He's holding a knife, but he also has a knife on his wrist, but it makes it look silly. They're all like that. But either way, they will be in the next battle report. And so last this week to cover, we have 4, I think they're just Gravedigger children. They're like the baby worms that barely show up. In fact, I think you can go through the entirety of the original Resident Evil 3 without ever seeing these because they're random. Like sometimes you can get them. There's a roguelike-ish element to the original release of Resident Evil 3 that not many people know about. You do not have the same run every time based on like enemies and certain items as well. So you need some of these for the expansion missions. So I got them painted up using the Darkoth flesh, a little bit of just grey sear, Volf's pink for their mouths, and blood for the blood god to make it look like they've been feeding on something or someone. The box only comes with 4 of them, so I presume you don't need any more than that. Still got to do the fully grown one that I showed off unpainted at the start. That was not in focus, was it? But they're all the same. Super quick and super simple. Oh, and Aggressor shade over the top as well. But I have knocked them out on the assumption that people will want me to do the expansion once we get there, which will be quite soon. So that is going to do it for another Getting Stuff Painted. If you want to show me what you've been painting model-wise, feel free to show me on Twitter at GamerIanD. I also preview stuff I've painted early on there as well. And it doesn't matter if I play the game or not, I just like seeing painted miniatures, so feel free to show me. Next time, we'll probably have some of that pile I showed you, this pile over here. Fingers crossed. Some more Batman, working through my backlog. And I'm not sure what else. We'll see. That is going to do it though. Thank you very much for watching, and I will hopefully see you again in a couple of weeks for another update. Get your models painted, it's fun. And until next time, ta-ta for now.